Hello, my YouTube family. This is the OG Crypto New Jack coming at you with some juicy news. But before I begin, let me say I'm not a financial advisor. Anything you see or hear in this video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Remember to do your own research and consult with a qualified professional before making investment decisions. Okay, we're going to begin taking a look at the total cryptocurrency market cap. It is 1.24 trillion and is up 0.6%. Coming in at number one is Bitcoin at 30,594. Coming in at number two is Ethereum at 1,922, and our beloved XRP is number 6 at 47 cents. Taking a look at crypto bubbles, we got Flow coming in at number one at 19.6. It looks like FTX token is the biggest loser at negative 16%. I don't even know why that token is still around. Taking a look at the crypto fear and greed index, it is in greed, coming in at 59. Here we have a tweet from Ripple. They put out, it's been a year since Ripple launched a CBDC solution and private ledger for CBDCs. Explore the benefits central bank digital currencies offer. One advantage is financial inclusion. They enable largely unbanked populations to gain easy access to banking services in developing countries. Number three, CBDCs also drive innovation. They enable central banks and governments to adapt their currency plans through each stage of the digital currency production lifecycle. Number four, Ripple will the next year bring the CBDCs. Read this blog for more. And Cowboy Crypto responded, Ripple is currently talking with more than 20 countries on CBDC plans. Based on this work, Ripple has enhanced its CBDC platform to meet the needs of central banks, financial institutions, governments, and commercial banks to customize their currency plans and prototypes using the new CBDC platform. And that is really good to see. Okay, shout out to John Dean. We're going to stick with him for a little bit. He put out, the fact that Andrew Sorkin, Becky Quick, and Joe Squawk don't ask Clay any real questions is mind-blowing to me. He couldn't survive 5 minutes of real questioning, and I wouldn't even have to get into. Clay's family gets millions, over $4 million in annual dividends from WMB Holding. To receive $4 million in dividends is equivalent to owning $200 million in stocks that pay 2% in dividends. Clay's wife is the B in WMB. WMB owns CSC. Clay's father-in-law served as the CSC's CEO from 1975 to 1978. WMB and CSC share the same address. Multiple other units of Goldman Sachs are using the same address. Clay's wife was a VP at Goldman Sachs for 17 years when Clay became SEC chairman. There are thousands of businesses using CSC as their registered agent and using CSC's address as their legal address, including Epstein's jet. CSC became the first foreign-owned company to receive domain register license in China. It was alleged that CSC acted as a conduit for creating shell corporations and other sketchy vehicles used in tax evasion and money laundering. How Klain represented Lehman Brothers during the financial crisis, but showed up the next day representing Barclays, who was buying it. I mean, wow. What a conflict of interest if I ever saw one. Okay, moving on, sticking with John Dean, he writes, the agenda is to file many cases in multiple jurisdictions across the U.S., so that they may maximize their chances of securing court victories. So if it loses Ripple, it can point out to LBRY and Dragon Chain or others. Max destruction. Okay, moving on. Here is John Deaton replying to Lynn Alden's tweet, where she writes, the leverage one is the funniest one. The SEC allowed a leverage futures Bitcoin ETF and yet talks about investor protection. And John Dean responded to that saying, coming from someone who knows better than I do. And this is exactly the case. The SEC allows something like a leverage futures Bitcoin ETF, which is going to get most people wrecked, instead of allowing a spot Bitcoin ETF that's less risky. So they're not really looking out for the investor. There's no investor protection here. They're here to protect the incumbents and their pockets. They are a corrupt organization. Okay, moving on. Watch Your Guru put this thing out. Just in, IRS orders KRAKEN crypto exchange to turn over its users' information. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Mac Attack. XRP lawsuit verdict crucial for major cryptos other than BTC, ETH, and LTC. Attorney John Dean pointed out how crucial a verdict is for the major cryptos, like Solana, Polygon, Matic, and Cardano. And that's very, very true. Okay, moving on. This is Danielle Dixon. She is replying to a tweet from the CFTC. Today, CFTC FAM announced new members and leadership of the CFTC's Global Markets Advisory Committee and subcommittees. That's because as Danelle Dixon puts out, proud to see Stella's Amin Hart named a subcommittee member to the CHC advisory group, and that's very bullish news for the crypto space and specifically for Stellar Lumen X11. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Susan Anthony. She put this tweet out. Companies like Ripple will make a dent in the universe. That's not being crypto's quote. Emanuela Saccarola, global head of cross-border payments, Citibank, comments on the survey that they completed. The last chapter of the payment saga. Let me play it.
Lastly, we also had issued a survey
to all our financial institutions, and the survey was called The Future of Payments. Yes. And the idea was to gather insights. Obviously, we had a number of questions, and maybe I can summarize some of the key points of the respondents. And we haven't published the results yet, so these are preliminary results. So I think I have found that clients, in particular traditional banks, obviously this survey went to all our FI customers, but traditional banks are acknowledging that they are losing market share to emerging competitors, which is something that maybe didn't quite happen a few years ago. Now they're coming to terms with the fact that they need to do something because these emerging competitors are taking market share. Second, we asked them, what are the features of payments that your clients are asking for? Obviously, there's many, but the 3-4 things that came up during the survey consistently is that payments have to have speed, they need to be cost-effective and transparent. So these were the top 3 features of payments. Lastly, they also have acknowledged that they're challenged by regulatory environment that can be quite overwhelming and dynamic. They're also challenged by limited investment budget and investment spending. And some of more maybe traditional older banks are also dealing with legacy infrastructure and legacy processes that are not quite fit for purpose for a digital experience. So they need to invest in their platforms, and that comes with engagement internally and prioritization, etc. But they all realize that that's a constraint and they have to overcome that to move to the next level.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Susan Anthony. Okay, moving on. Shout out to the digital asset investor. He's replying to a tweet, a very pathetic tweet from Vitalik Buterin, where he writes, the one comment I'll make is that I feel bad that Solana and other projects are getting hit in this way. They don't deserve it. And if Ethereum ends up winning through all the other blockchains getting kicked off exchanges, that's not an honorable way to win. And he goes on to say that in the long term, it's probably not even winning, and that he wishes all the good projects to succeed and yada, yada, yada. And that's a bunch of BS. He's only saying that because he got caught, and that digital asset investor, he put out, don't be fooled. Buterin knew the plan to try and create a monopoly for Ethereum. We have the receipts, and he's 100% correct. The only reason Vitalik put this tweet out is because that Ethereum free pass and the Hinman test that helped him and all that came out to the light, that only the few elite knew about that little secret, and now it's all been exposed. And this is what he's trying to do with this pathetic little tweet. And we're not buying it. So he can keep that tweet to himself. Okay, shout out to James Rule. We just want to help him out. He put this tweet, I want to know who in the hell turned me into Team YouTube. My YouTube channel has been deleted until further notice. I have appealed and I am waiting for an answer. So just spread the word, retweet, like, contact YouTube support on his behalf. Let's do what we can to help James Rule, because he's been a very vital person for the XRP community, and hopefully James Rule can get his channel back as soon as possible. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Eleanor Tourette. She writes, the Supreme Court has just agreed to hear a case that the SEC lost on appeal, in which the agency sought to deny the right to a jury by suing people in its in-house administrative proceedings rather than in federal court. And that in-house proceeding is a joke. They always side with the SEC. And I'm glad that this is going to the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is made up of judges that do not take lightly or kindly to government overreach, and they're going to get their asses handed to them when this court case gets in front of the Supreme Court. And I can't wait for that to happen. It's just going to be another L that the SEC is going to take. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Ripple for this tweet as well. We're experiencing a seismic shift in finance. While cross-border payments are traditionally costly and slow, Ripple's Barry tells Financial Times, and the blockchain helps these challenges and drives a new era of global payments networks. And here is the video.
We'll see how I'm able to do it. This is going to be a stretch to get it under a minute. Hi, my name is Brendan Barry, and this is Crypto in a Minute. I can't promise this is going to be comprehensive, but let me start with how I think about building blocks, which is really an analog to the financial systems tech stack. And it starts with an on-ramp, connecting your physical fiat currency and bringing it into the blockchain. The next would be tokenization. What other assets, not just currency, do you want to bring onto the blockchain? The third would be custody. Who's holding your funds? Are you holding your funds? Where's the technology that's actually providing that service? The next would be liquidity, conversion, and exchange. You want to be able to move your value in and out so you have flexibility. Another would be compliance services, making sure that you are maintaining KYC and AML requirements in your jurisdiction of operation. And last but certainly not least, off-ramps, connecting your digital value to the physical fiat infrastructure and domestic payment rails. Under a minute.
Very good job. Very good job. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Cowboy Crypto. To really boil it down, Ripple is competing with the liquidity of Citi and messaging of Swift. And one, because we are both messaging and liquidity, as a quote from Brad Garlinghouse. This is an older
messages to banks that have liquidity. So to some degree, Citibank and HSBC, really top two, JPM, those are the top three liquidity banks. And when you're sending Swift messages, you're sending messages to banks to release liquidity and making sure the debits and credits match. So to some degree, really boil it down, Ripple's competing with the liquidity of Citi and the messaging of Swift, but in one, because we're both messaging and liquidity.
Exactly. And they're going to kick Swift's butt when the time comes. Okay, shout out to Kayla Long. She put this thing out. Big news for FinTech is 6 U.S. state Idaho is willing to charter uninsured, non-lending, 100% reserve banks that are eligible for Fed master accounts. The other states are Connecticut, Maine, Nevada, Vermont, and Wyoming. This trend could turn out to be the bank as a service, BaaS model on its head. She goes on to say, number 2, the revelation was buried deep in the Fed's master account database, which Congress had to force the Fed to release, which it did late on Friday afternoon before the Juneteenth 3-day weekend, hoping no one would see it. It's a gift that keeps giving. Number 3, here's a recent blog post I wrote about the power of the U.S. state to charter banks and federal law requiring federal bank regulators to respect the chartering decisions of the bank chartering authorities, which do the weeding out. Number 4, taking it further, here's another key snippet from an op-ed I co-wrote with Katie Cox, and that's it over here. Number 5, the Fed would have had his cake and eaten it too, using uninsured bank charters to bring fintech activities inside federal regulatory perimeter by admitting applicants to Fed membership, thereby subjecting fintechs to federal regulation, which many Fed governors claim to want. But instead, as the Fed's master account database reveals, the SFFED denied the Idaho Bank's master account application, and the Idaho Bank just sued. Number 7, the new lawsuit alleges a SFFED official acknowledged that the likelihood of a bank failure at Pay Service is not possible because at Pay Services, all deposits are available at all times because 100% of deposits are kept in reserve. Exactly, not like the fractional reserve lending that's going on in the banks today. Number 8, as Balaji says, make America states again. In banking, that trend just got a key boost with the revelation that a 6th state, Idaho, joined the other 5 states willing to charter non-lending payment banks. Watch this space. Will banks as a service ever be the same? I don't think so. Okay, shout out to Katie Long for that. Okay, moving on. Shout out to ISO 222. Pat Thielen of Ripple speaking on the future of crypto as a member of the U.S. Federal Reserve Faster Payments Council. Let me play it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Pat Thielen. I'm the Vice President of Global Account Management at Ripple. We truly believe that there is an internet of value coming, much like the internet provided with communications and email in the 90s and through the beginning of the millennium. Today, the payment system is advancing. And unlike a lot of the other crypto players in Ripple's space, we truly believe that the revolution is going to occur from within. So the ecosystem that the U.S. Faster Payments Council has put together will be those players that will make sure we advance the industry. The working groups that are coming out, it's the cross-border, the QR, the directory model. These are really opportunities to take that user experience, the interoperability that has been designed in the other initiatives, and really apply it to real-world problems. Many countries have leapfrogged the U.S. in real-time payments, so this is a real opportunity for us to leverage a body like this. The field is set, and you can either sit on the sidelines or suit up with U.S. Faster Payments Council and change the game.
Exactly. Very bullish stuff going on. Okay, once again, ISO 222, shout out to him. This is FINASTRA talking about flipping of a switch.
Almost flip a switch and get the thing turned on because the connectivity is in place, the messaging is in place on the receive side. As a bank or credit union, what you're signing up for when you allow what we call receive only is for your customers to receive payments that are out there on the network destined for you. And there's enough volume on the network. What we're seeing is regardless of the bank or the location, the size, there's payments on the network that immediately start coming in. And we'll talk more about the use cases here in a minute.
There you go. Okay, moving on. Shout out to Jack the Rippler. XRP does not need the meteor to reach a new all-time high because it's designed to reach a high price. And I 100% agree because of the utility in the token. Okay, moving on. Shout out to eGrad Crypto. XRP Grand chart. While many technical analysts and enthusiasts are familiar with the Elliott waves, only a select few truly grasp the significance of the following count, which may go down in history as the most remarkable in the realm of investing. The USA government is thoroughly evaluating XRP to ensure that there is absolutely no room for any flaws, as the Internet of Money cannot afford any imperfections. The future lies in the Internet of Value. XRP represents the future of global financial connectivity, seamlessly bridging currencies worldwide. If you haven't realized it yet, that our current fiat system is an illusion backed by nothing tangible, then you may never find yourself among the next 1%. Feel free to share your thoughts. XRP Army, stay steady, for true genius lies in envisioning the future. Being ahead of your time often leads to being dismissed as madness. And he has this chart here, and he says that we are here, and we can see there's a lot of room for growth. And I believe that that is what's going to happen. And I believe the majority of the XRP Army believes the same. Okay, moving on. Shout out to the Digital Asset Investor, where he wrote, Lucas just joined the grand conspiracy ETHgate. And I guess Charles Hoskinson has come a long way, but it looks like he's ready to jump on board. So let me play the video.
But bureaucrats got a bureaucrat, starting to believe this free pass thing a little bit, huh? It's starting to feel that way. I got some sympathy for you XRP guys. Yeah, I'm being pushed into that corner. I really am. I don't know about that. A little cray-cray.
Well, I guess he came on board. Better late than never, as they say. And I guess it took for Cardano ADA to be listed as a security by the SEC in a lawsuit, even though they didn't get sued directly, but they were listed as a security on a Coinbase lawsuit, I believe. So now that he's personally affected, he's finally seen the light. Well, I'm not going to hate on him. I'm just going to say welcome aboard, and let's just get the crypto army, not just the XRP army, the crypto army, in other words, the crypto space, and get to the SEC and get them to see our view, because their view is just to kill us and let the incumbents, the JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and all those continue with their business and wanting to kill the crypto. But you know what? Crypto cannot be stopped. The train is at the station, and that includes the entire crypto space, who are all good actors. The illegitimate ones, they can go by the wayside as far as I'm concerned. Well, okay, fam, that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this video to be helpful, would you please smash the like and to subscribe? I would really appreciate it, and it doesn't cost you anything. Thank you much in advance. In the words of Snoop Dogg, keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind. Peace out, fam.